Hey there, it's Clementine for Beyond the Comfort Zone, and I'm doing the video really different now because I did a Facebook Live this morning for this week's subject title, which is The Power of Vulnerability. And for some reason, my internet wasn't working well, so I zipped onto my phone and it also didn't work well. So I'm going to go about it like this. I really wanted to get this conversation out into the world for even if one person hears 30 seconds of it, because I get that vulnerability is something that's really misconstrued and not acknowledged and recognized for the power that it actually is. So for me, I used to think of vulnerability as like letting all my warts hang out, being a mess, being a wreck, not falling apart and being witnessed, letting someone see that, which generally was like a sister or maybe possibly somebody I was dating. Like that was the only places and spaces that I was willing to allow that kind of energy into my world. And then I started to get that vulnerability is those things, but it's also way beyond all of that. It's like being emotional and all of the intensity of that is a beautiful piece of having a body and being on this planet and having this life. But it's also can really function to separate us from what we can be receiving and experiencing here. So one of the pieces about vulnerability is to look at what is beyond the emotion, or even notice anywhere that the emotionality or the messiness or whatever it is a story that actually protects you and isn't true vulnerability. So what if you started to play with pushing those kind of protective barriers down? When with emotionality, allowing the emotional barriers to drop and allowing the thinking, the figuring it out, the calculating, the concluding, the judgments of how you got to be, or how you need to function, or how a situation should look or feel, or all those things you've figured out, dropping all of that. Being vulnerable, not just in your relationships, but with your business, with your hopes and dreams, with money. There's a difference between being pathetic and being vulnerable. When I said the word money, what I saw was this place where a lot of people are grovel and have this poor me and I'm really pitiful. And that's not what I'm talking about here. Vulnerability is actually a very empowered place. It's clearing out all of the devices and mechanisms and strategies that we're using to, that we've decided that we have to create life and make our lives work. And instead just going, oh, okay, it's just me. I'm just here, just dropping everything and expanding out, way out, being way greater and as expansive as you truly be. And then from that space, going, oh, hi, money. Drop your barriers, push your barriers down even further. All of the thoughts and feelings and emotions you have about money, about your significant other, about a situation, a challenge that you're having, about your work, about something you want so bad you feel it in your bones. You dropped the energy of that barrier that keeps you from having vulnerability, that allows you to access the power to actually create what you'd like to create. So in particularly in spiritual communities, but in a lot of different communities, there's a lot of conversation about protecting yourself. Which, for years and years, I was the queen of that. I really had a lot of ideas about how one protects himself energetically, visualizations, calling in different guides, using crystals, candles, different scents, salt, bowls of water. I mean, just different things to absorb different energies, and pyramids of blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's a lot. And all of that's cool, if you want to choose all that, that's cool. But what I really want to suggest here is that does an infinite being require protection? So are you reducing yourself to something smaller than you actually are, and then calling in something outside of yourself to protect you from whatever that choice to be small has created, versus just being, the expansive magnificence that you actually are? And secondarily, it's like, with that protection, how much separation are you creating where you can't receive, you're not receiving, you're not allowing, you're not living in the possibility of what energy can contribute to you? The thing is that we generally judge everything, and that judgment creates a separation, and that judgment is how we filter what we're willing to receive and not willing to receive, which, it's filtering out like 99.999% of everything, where we're not receiving all that we could be in this life, even remotely. And we're not willing to, or we don't get to have all of the gifts and contributions that energy can be to our world. So it's not like saying, okay, all of these things that I see out here, I got to receive and validate and confirm and allow to be in my life. It's not that. It's acknowledging them. It's dropping your barriers to them. It's being willing to be vulnerable with the knowing of all that, and then choosing what works for you. That's it. Now, if someone's being a total asshole and you puff up and you put up a barrier, what does that create? Does it actually make you feel better? Does it actually extract you from the situation? Vulnerability doesn't have to be like, all right, you're being an asshole and you can just punch me. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about here. It's really that space of knowing you have the whole universe to access, that you don't have to go into automatic pilot to choose and to create, that there are other possibilities. And it's a really powerful place. It is the powerful place to be. It's where you're not cutting yourself off from you. Later today, I have an acupuncture appointment, and I'm having some fire cupping done on my, right on my, what am I trying to call it? A shin. And if you've ever pushed or poked around the shin bone there, it's pretty painful. And so even in the face of that kind of pain, what happens when you drop your barriers to it? How much do we like it? Everything we do, we tend to constrict and contract to protect or to defend or to deny or to reject or to ignore. What else? What other possibilities exist that would empower you, that would give you more ease, so that you could change things more readily? So my invitation to go beyond your comfort zone this week is to really get friendly with this idea of being vulnerable. Like, I'm noticing right now barriers I have up, so I'm just going to take a moment to drop those. And what I'm doing is acknowledging all the points of view that I have, and allowing those points of view to just dissipate. Not giving them any credence, not giving them any weight. Noticing the separation I have between me and the camera. Noticing any projections I have about who might see this in the future or might not. And just being here. I notice that when I start to speak, a little barrier membrane comes up. So what would it take to have that space of total vulnerability? Even when I'm speaking, even when I'm engaged. What if it's not about being messy? It's not about being subject to being taken advantage of. It's not laying down so people can use it like a doormat. It's actually going, oh, I'm aware of everything around me. I'm allowing the molecules to flow through me, to me, around me, to contribute to me. Oh, what could I do from this space that I couldn't have done until just now? I want to cry. Oh. And what if I drop a barrier to that? How much power is there in you you've never tapped into, never allowed, that you've fought with every tool, every obstacle, every excuse and justification you could possibly think of. And you just can't. You just can't hold it back anymore. You know you can't. What will it take for you to be willing to discover the power that you have beyond the lies and inventions, stories, all the ways that you've created to separate yourself from you? Cool. Thanks for watching, for being willing to make it this far. If you're hearing this moment, thank you. And now what can you choose? We'll see you next time.